false. Let's go back to them. And let's try to go back to events. And let's try to load a view. You should open a dialog, right? Okay, you need to have enabled the net panel. And the scripts panel. Check that CakePHP is enabled. Console, of course, should be enabled. Are you following me? Let's click again on view. And okay, we have this request. Now let's debug some information using the FireCake class. Go to your events controller. In the view, add a line saying fire cake. Let me look at the correct function, sorry. It should read fire cake. We need to import it first, sorry. I'm going to import this in my app controller. Remember this line? Add this one too. That's in app controller. App controller. Nothing yet. Yeah.
What's the URL to the documentation that you were just saying?
Go to cakephp.lighthouseapp.com, and you will see a list of projects from CakePHP. One of them is the bucket. On the right of the bucket page, you have all documentation pages. Okay, we added this line. We refresh our browser. Click view. Sorry, I didn't put anything into the event controller. Okay, click view, and in event controller, call FireCake log. The documentation says it takes a message and a label. Our message will be testing FireCake, and a label test. Refresh your view, click view on the table, and it doesn't work. Why? Okay, let's see. Is it enabled? Sorry? Isn't it? Okay, sorry. Go again. username. Okay, now click on view this time, and this is it. We have all panels we had on the web page. We have them here. We have the history, we have session, request, SQL log, timer, login variables, and also we have our test message. So if you want to take a look at what does the SQL log was for this AJAX request, you just click here, and you see all SQL log for the request. Nice.
What's the advantage of using the FireCake logger versus just sending Firebug?
Of having what? Sorry? Well, it is really an advantage instead of debugging AJAX is really, really hard because you don't want to change the result. For example, if you are going to respond with JSON, you can screw up JSON because for just a single quote will break it. If you want to see what was like the SQL log for this request, it would be almost impossible to do it. You would have to log in the file or save it in the database. It's really hard. But with this tool, you just open the panel and see how the request looked like for this AJAX request. You also have timer in the detailed way too, and variables sent to the view. These are the variables sent to the view. Okay? Does anyone have any question about this and how to use it? No? The documentation also has some insights about what functions you can use. You can use log, info, warn, and error. And it will change the way it looks on your FirePHP console. Let's use an error. FireCake error here. And see how does it look like. Firefox, here. Click on view. And look, it says error on Firebug. And the error is shown here. That's really cool because you will not only have JavaScript errors, but CakePHP PHP errors here too. If you throw a notice to the environment, for example, a undeclared variable or something, it will show as error here in the bucket panel. You can take a look at variables too. Just make this smaller. And if you hover over this text, it will show you the complete variable here. As a tip, I recommend to not debug huge amounts of data because it hangs Firefox. Try to debug simple things, not nested arrays or complete objects because it hangs. It consumes a lot of memory.
If you have large variables already, are they just going to be loaded by default into the list of variables there? Is that going to cause memory lag in the browser?
It will cause memory lagging, but only if you hover them.
Okay, so no.
Okay. Try to avoid to hover big dumps of variables. Okay. As the next thing I will show you of the debug kit toolbar is creating new timers. Let's say we have a very complex thing on our application and it's consuming a lot of time. we need to know what part of the application is consuming that time. So for example, I will create a new action called public hanger, function hanger. And I will do two things. One, iterate from 1 to 10,000, and then call the view action, the index section. Okay? So for is that enough? Or do you want another 0? Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. I'm not used to this keyboard. Let's iterate and do nothing here. Just iterate this. And then call set action index. And see how much time does it take for this beautiful MacBook Pro to iterate from 1 to that number. Events hanger. There it goes. I think I will remove those 2 zeros. No, it's okay. So let's say this is only mocking a real life hanger. Do you know what's going between your application? But let's say we had 2 hypotheses. One is the hanger is between these lines, or the hanger is the action index. Okay? So I will create 2 timers to test which one takes a longer time. So add this line to your hanger. This is my first hypothesis. Is that how you say that? Yeah. Okay. And after doing this thing, I will stop my timer. And I thought too that it was the index action that was hanging my application. So in index, I'll add this line here. This is the second, and I will stop timer here. Oh, right. Moment. Here's second. Okay. Let's load it again. Open your debug kit panel, click on timer, expand it, and you will see our first hypothesis and our second one. And it's clearly telling us which one is taking most of the time. Do you have any question about this or other uses or other use cases for this? I use this very much for debugging my application, for benchmarking them. The difficult part in in making your application performant is finding what part of your application is the most slower one, the slower one. Because we tend as we tend as developers to start guessing. I think the hog is in my database. I think it's in this action. I think it's right there. But we are actually not doing the benchmark to test that it was my first thought or my second thought where it was right. Okay?
One, can you get that same timer results in an AJAX request with the Fire PHP?
Of course, yeah. Let's put this. Let me try to do this way. If not, I will create an AJAX action here. I'll call this from index. Inside the console, I will write a new div. Just copy this URL here. Hanger. And see what happens. This is it. We have our Firebug thing. And in timer, click on timers. You have your first and your second hypothesis. The console comment? Okay. I think this is not necessary. Maybe it's just, oops.
So you need an element to load into or do an AJAX request.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then, I know it's sort of bad form, but how is it performance-wise to leave timers in your code? Is it a significant performance hit? Like if you turn debug onto zero, they don't render anymore, they don't trigger anymore?
Yeah, they don't trigger anymore. The function will get called. It will check the debug.
Sure.
It takes its time. It's better to not leave them there. That's a very specific thing for developers. It's not for delivering or deploying.
Right.
But it will not break your application if you leave it there. Okay? Another question? Okay. So I think this covers the debug kit toolbar. Okay, yeah. You can switch between environments, but you will have to code your own logic. For example, here in app controller, I said if we are debugging, load the console. I could set the debug level on my bootstrap file if I provide my own credentials to the application to set the debug code a little higher. This is crazy, but I will say my credentials are appending to the URL a password. For example, do not this at home, it's dangerous. It's just for showing a way of switching from debug 0 to debug 2 on a live server, okay? This could be done by your IP address. This could be done by HTTP authentication. This could be done by checking for a certificate in your machine. It can be done in a lot of ways. For now, I will just append something to my URL, and this will change the debug level. I'm sorry to check this way. I'm doing this with get, just to check that the get variables get passed. Here, I will use get like my password.